Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Deanna Faye and I do things just a little bit differently here. And what I like to do is I like to listen to and watch interviews with songwriters. I'm a songwriter myself, and see if we can gather any useful tips or tricks or creative insights into the songwriting process. And I hope that if you like this topic and you want to learn how to improve your creativity, specifically with music, then this is the right place for you. But you're also welcome here if you do other art and just want to learn about creative insights. I give you some inspiration as well, so if that's something you're into, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more. Unpacking songwriting secrets with Deanna Faye. Today we're going to be looking at John Prine.
I never know what the songs are about at all, like until I get done with them.
Who has been widely, I suppose, noted as one of the most influential songwriters of our time. He was a folk singer-songwriter, and he used a lot of humor, melancholy, and storytelling in his songwriting. I found this YouTube video with an interview with John Prine in 1986 with Mike Leonard, and I found this on John Cater's YouTube channel.
When I first started playing, I sang in a room alone, just for the wall, like it did something for me. Just music, you know. First time I learned a chord, I sat there for 3-4 hours and just put my ear on the top of the wood of the guitar, and I'd play that chord, and I wouldn't play it again until it was totally gone. Like sometimes the sound would be gone, but the wood still be vibrating in the room, and I'd just sit there like that, and it got my attention. Real basic, simple things. You know, somebody asked me about like the Army or something, like that song about fish and whistle.
So what I wanted to point out there was, so he would simply just sit and listen to the chord from start to finish, letting it completely ring out. You know, just him, his guitar, the wall, facing the wall, and just focusing on the sound. And I think it's important that as musicians and songwriters, that we remember the simple pleasures and the basics of music.
Fast, something slow.
Oh, I'll do a little bit of this one. That's the way the world goes round.
Okay, great.
I know a guy that's got a lot to lose. He's a pretty nice fella, kinda confused, got muscles in his head, ain't never been used, thinks he owns half of this town.
You know, sometimes it's just getting into that creative groove. It helps to just focus and meditate on, let's say, one chord. Just listen to it, let it ring out, and really focusing in. And I think using like a meditative state almost, you know, just the basics of music, let's not forget, and the basics of the beauty of it, I think, is kind of what we can gather from that.
I was sitting around this house in Melrose Park, Illinois, and this truck kept going down the street, and it hit a bump, and the house had shake. And I had nothing particular in mind. I was just sitting looking at my guitar and wondering why I wasn't writing at the time for about 6 months. At that time, I was concerned about having dry spells. Now I love them. It means I'm not going to do anything. But so I wrote exactly what was going on. I got mad at myself for getting mad about having a dry spell. So I just thought, I'll write exactly what's going on right now. That's what I've always done. So why not do it now? So I wrote I've been thinking lately about the people I meet, because I've met a couple of weird people that week. And the car wash on the corner, they dug up this vacant lot and put a car wash in, one of those quarter ones. I went through it the first day because I like my car to be clean. And I drove through it, and the soap part worked and the rinse didn't. And I drove around for an hour with my car with dried soap on it. So I went back home, went back inside, picked up the guitar, another truck went by, hit the front. So I've been thinking lately about the people I meet, the car wash on the corner and the hole in the street, you know, and...
So I don't know if you could catch that, but Prine mentions how he was having a bit of a dry spell, and I think it was like a 6-month dry spell or something like that, where, you know, he wasn't really writing songs.
Started drinking heavy, got a big red nose. Beat his old lady with a rubber hose. Then he took her out to dinner, bought her new clothes. It's the way that the world goes round.
And he had, I guess, a bit of like a creative block. And so he was getting angry and frustrated. So he decides to just write a song about exactly what was going on, like not trying to make it about a different special meaning or like trying to have like a purpose necessarily, just writing exactly what he saw and heard and sort of sensed around him. So, he says, I've been thinking about the people I meet. So he writes a song about, people around him, people that he meets. He wrote about a hole in the street. It sounds kind of silly, but this was actually a really, really unique and cool way to songwrite. I think it kind of frees you from almost like trying too hard, and is something that I've talked about on other videos and with other songwriters is sort of like letting things be. It's hard to explain. It's like writing but allowing it to be simple. And I found this interview with John Prine from Rolling Stone, and in it he says, I think the more the listener can contribute to the song, the better. The more they become part of the song and they fill in the blanks, John Prine said. So he said, rather than tell them everything, save your details for things that exist, like what color the ashtray is, how far away the doorway was. So when you're talking about intangible things like emotions, the listener can fill in the blanks and you just draw the foundation. I still tend to believe that's the way to tackle it today. And I love this quote because I think that this is something that songwriters don't do enough. I think a lot of music and lyrics sort of force emotions onto us, like it's that whole motion of showing, not telling. So we're not telling listeners what to feel when listening to our song. We're just painting a portrait, and if they can relate to it, then that's great. And if they have an emotion and fill in the blanks with it, even better. And in that sense, it's subjective, like other visual arts, where you can look at a painting and think like, this reminds me of my childhood, and maybe it reminds me of a dream I had, or maybe whatever it is. But it allows the viewer, the consumer of the art, to relate to it in their own way. We're not force feeding the consumer, the listener, the person viewing the art or listening to the music. We're not forcing them to feel a certain way. We're just giving them a description of what's going on. And I think there's beauty in that style of songwriting. I think clearly it was widely loved and respected, the way that John Prine wrote music, telling stories, but in a way that was sort of describing what was happening and allowing the listener to fill in the blanks on the meaning. And I think there's a video with Strombolopolis and John Prine playing a show in his living room, and there's people, like in tears, and they're crying, and while listening to John Prine sing and play his music. And I think because the way he tells his stories and his songwriting, you can connect and relate to it, in your own way, but it's on a deep way. And I think part of that is likely because he did allow the listener to fill in the blanks, to contribute to the song. Weirdly enough, when I was like watching these interviews and reading about it, it made me think actually of Andy Schaaf's music, the way that he tells stories in his songs, and especially in his more current music, he tells stories without like forcing the emotion onto it. And there's another little bit from a interview with John Prine, an American songwriter. Interviewer asks him, is it easy for you to get to that place where songs start coming, you know, the inspiration, that creativity. And he says, no, it's very elusive. Patience, that you have to have patience. He says, I know that I'm basically a very lazy person at everything, including writing. As much as I enjoy writing, I would rather do anything in the world but sit down and write. But once I get into it, I'm into it. I mean, if you said, let's go get a hot dog first, I'd probably go for the hot dog. But he says you have to balance out patience, waiting for the right thing to come along. So I think it's helpful to hear that as a songwriter myself, and hopefully for you in watching today, because it just goes to show that even for great songwriters, it takes patience, and it's not something that just, you know, it's not like every day is a great day as a songwriter, that every day you feel the inspiration. Sometimes it comes in waves, and you get inspiration, and you write a few songs in a row that are good, but sometimes months pass where not much is really happening in terms of the creativity and inspiration, you know, where the songs start coming. So it's important to remember that. It's important because you don't want to get to a point where you have a dry spell, let's say, and just give up because maybe the inspiration was just around the corner. You don't know. And I think forcing yourself when you're in that position, it won't necessarily work. I mean, it's good to practice, it's good to play, but I think when you do get those dry spells, you could, you know, practice doing other artistic things, like maybe try writing poetry or you know, playing cover songs can help, or maybe just not even bothering at all, just let it be for a little bit. You don't want to force anything. So, and I think the little takeaway from John Prine is just being able to sort of let go of perfectionism almost. I know it's not something that he explicitly states, but he talked about how when he was having a dry spell, he decided to write exactly what he was experiencing, and he didn't, you know, force it to be something that it wasn't. And I think there's beauty in the everyday and the mundane, in the simple things in life. And I think that even if you are just writing about a hole in the street, or, you know, a stranger that you meet, that there's something in there that others can connect to, and they can fill in the blanks on what it means to them, because art and music, it's still a subjective thing, and it matters that listeners can contribute to what you are writing and sort of like add their own story and their own life and meaning into your music. And so if today's message was helpful for you, please subscribe to my channel. Every little bit helps. You can also support me on Patreon. The links will be in the description below. You can buy me a coffee as well. And thank you very much for supporting my channel. I hope that you keep creating, and take care.